Muttering and puttering. Good morning. I have just gotten off of a call with my mentor slash therapist slash fairy godmother, Diana. And we were having a really good conversation about kind of the interplay of the two forces of like gritting and expanding. Gritting as in hello humans, gritting as in regulating, grounding, focusing on the foundations of your lifestyle, and how that is what allows us to pop off, expand, grow, create. And I had some pretty pronounced experiences over the last few years. And I would say, kind of at the beginning of my business, where there was a lot of expansion, there was like a lot of growth, and it wasn't always tempered by the gritting, the grounding, and the regulating in my body. And there were certain times and certain ways that there was just so much change happening and like so much expansion happening that it got really overwhelming and kind of dysregulating for me. So that is something, especially over the last couple of years, that has been such a priority for me, is recognizing that that's the formula. Like, I think our culture is so focused on meteoric growth in every single way and like fast paced. To bring this back to a conversation we were having uh, a few days ago about like the tortoise and the hare, like very much hare consciousness, like in a rush, not enough time. I mean, scarcity consciousness at the end of the day, right? Like expand, 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 but not necessarily taking into account that if you want to sustain growth, if you want to sustain expansion, you've got to simultaneously prioritize grounding and gritting, as Diana was saying, and regulating and sustaining, and how the two complement each other. The two forces really complement each other. So that's something that really took me a while to learn. And I had to learn actually in some of the most extreme and confronting ways that I could possibly imagine someone learning those things. And it continues to be a process, but I really have made a huge shift with myself around like really primarily my job is to take care of myself. My job is to ground myself and nurture the foundations of my lifestyle. And then everything else follows that. And it's one thing to get there intellectually, but it is another thing to like feel safe in your body going at a slower pace and like prioritizing these more kind of routine, predictable, grounding elements in life. Prioritizing that above everything else. When we are so conditioned to rush, 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 to like, oh my God, I've got to take this while I can get it, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, what if I don't post X many days in a row? Am I going to be relevant in the conversation? Blah, 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 blah. All this shit that just like leads to burnout. It's not sustainable, is not, puts you in a state of fear and scarcity. And ultimately, isn't that fun? So it's like also, in addition to just like the straight up regulating and grounding, and as you tune into more of these lives, I will talk about more of the many ways that I engage in that gridding energy. But it's like there's actually a synergy happening between growth and grounding that maybe we understand cognitively, but a lot of us don't really feel safe in our bodies and our nervous system to slow down and like trust and live from that place. So it's taken me years of conscious intention, I guess that means the same thing, to get to the point with it where I am now. And I look forward to that evolving. And something we were speaking about, Diana and I, on our call was like how sometimes I'm also an Enneagram 7, which is the enthusiast, but sometimes I get so like joyful and excited and have so many ideas all at once that I feel anxious. It's like the sensation becomes uncomfortable in my body. And she was talking about how like, well, it makes perfect sense when you did have these like really significant, very destabilizing experiences in the past where expansion was like a ton of expansion was happening with not quite enough gridding or grounding. And it was overwhelming and it did become unwieldy. So it makes sense that your system would start to feel some of those sensations and like associate that with, sound the alarms, associate that with like unease and anxiety. So that was really validating to have that reflected back to me. And I'm just really grateful for Diana. She is one of a kind and such a wise elven creature. Love her. So anyway, that's what's on my mind today is as I'm, one thing about me is I'm a Virgo moon. So I'm going to be puttering. I'm going to be organizing. I'm going to be like putting my feet in the grass and clearing clutter. It's one of my preferred activities. And it's actually a huge part of my creative process because that's when a lot of my ideating is happening, when I'm actually doing things with my hands and like, recycling my jars and puttering around on all my projects. And, I told you guys I just started gardening. So that's a new frontier for me. That's what's on my mind today is, and Diana said, this is kind of a little takeaway mantra of like, so often we want to grow, but we don't actually have the foundation in place internally and externally to hold and sustain that growth. And you just look at it mirrored and, our capitalist culture is like meteoric growth at all costs, when really we need more of a balance on the greater societal level and on the personal level. And what she said to me that really stuck was like, if you want to expand, if you want to grow, get grounded. And I have very much found that to be the truth, especially in my experience over the past couple of years, having a rather extreme disruption that I actually haven't really spoken about publicly. And I will likely talk more about as I feel more comfortable in this kind of context. I think I'm done with my makeup. Cool. I'm gonna brush my hair. Hang on one second. And I'm back in Chicago, I feel it. Okay. So yeah, that's my little message for today. I hope that resonates. If you want to expand, get grounded. Simple, but take some reconditioning of, what we feel safe with. This is the wrong necklace. And our bodies to really trust. So that's it for today's Mutter and Putter. We have reached 10 minutes, which is the quota. And I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching. And please drop me a comment if you are watching the replay. If you come to these lives, I'd love to interact with you. And I want this to feel like a conversation. So let me know what's interesting to you. Let me know what lands. And I will talk to you tomorrow.